Hey, it's Karen from Liongate Farm, and welcome back. We're going to start our Christmas and holiday and winter items. So we're going to kick it off with the Santa Moon. And this Santa Moon comes in a kit too, and I'll show you that. So we're going to turn that gnome we made last week into a Santa. Hey you guys, it's Karen from Liongate Farm, which you already know, I'm sure. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make the Harvest Moon ornament into a Santa. So, we're going to do this color, but I just want to show you has a whole face instead of just a nose, like the gnome does, and his hair doesn't go all the way around. So you can make it in any color. I'm going to do that color. There's a traditional red. And then this one I did like in this variegated roving that has some sparkle in it. It's kind of an orangey red. It's pretty fun. And you can even, the sky's the limit. Here's a navy one. You can see his face. I really like the navy one actually. So I'm gonna go over how to make the base ornament again, because this is what we're leaning for right here. Look, this one's a little bit bigger. Even though we did it in the gnome, I'm going to do it again for you pretty quick, and then we'll go from there. So you're going to need approximately 16 to 17 inches of 16 gauge wire. You can use lesser wire or like a lighter weight wire, but this holds the best. You're going to need locks for the beard. These are from my own sheep. These ones actually came from McKendree. And you'll need some peach color for their face, a teensy bit of black for their eyes, your outer color. I'm going to use this color for the eyeballs today. And then I'm using a sparkly white blend. The glitter, it's like a glitter merino blend. And then, of course, core wool. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that 16 to 17 inches of wire and we're going to bend it around. And then we're going to hook it just like we did for the gnome. And we're going to wrap it in much the same way. And I'm just assuming you watched it, but if you didn't, I'm going to show you. So you're going to take a length of your core wool. I'm using this new product just to see if I like it. I like it a lot for wrapping, but not for doing anything bulky. We're going to start by wrapping where the meat is on your wire. And remember, the tighter you pull it, I'm going to secure it just a hair so I don't have to think about it coming apart at this beginning spot. Yeah, I like this core wool blend that I've got here, which it's very soft, but it's great for wrapping. I've tried it on a few bulk projects where I need to bulk some things up, and not a fan. Do like it for finishing if I need a smooth finish. So I'm basically just going to go through now. One part of your wire needs to be super thin, just like with the gnome. I like to go through and just put a nice thin wrap on the whole wire. And then I'll decide which end is which. Usually the end with the join is my fattest part of my Santa. I'm just finishing off this piece. Sometimes when you're wrapping like this, if you just twist it, it'll felt itself. I always kind of want to make sure you're going the same way. I always wrap away from myself. You do what's comfortable for you, where you feel like you have the most control. You're going to keep this nice and flat. come around. I'm not going to have to worry about tearing this off to terminate it. But see, we're getting nice and skinny over here, which is what I like. Because that skinniest spot becomes the point of the hat. I'm just going to keep going. I can tell you we're going to end up with a body that is about 2 inches by 2 inches on one side and super skinny on the other. And then it's just going to gradually go down to this point. So now that I have the whole ring, I'm just going to build up my center spot. If you overlap it just a little and let it go down, it's going to form that graduation naturally. This is the boring part. So I'm just going to keep doing this. Just wrapping like that until I end up with this shape. So like I said, let me see if I gave you the right measurements. This is going to end up 2 inches by 2 inches. The top and the bottom end up 3/4 and 3/4. And so on this one, I have it at about 3/8 on this end. And remember, it's going to get fatter when we put our color on. So just keep wrapping this ring here until we get to those dimensions. I'm not going to make you watch me do that because it takes a little bit of time. Maybe 20 minutes or so, maybe a little longer, depending. So I'm going to come back here in a minute and we'll start wrapping the color on. Okay, so the next piece we're going to put on is I'm going to put a little bit of cream color on to show where the face is going to be. Why you don't need to waste all of your red. It makes it a little bit harder to work around because it's so easy to just wrap it like we did in the gnomes. But we're making way more than a nose this time. So I like to go out about halfway on the outside here. And this guy, the face on this is kind of creepy until you get his beard on and then it becomes uncreepy. At least to me. All right, so for your measurements, you're going to end up with doing from there to there. So it's about 3 inches by 3 inches. And it's an oval. And you don't have to felt it all the way yet. So let's not worry about that. Now we're just going to add our color. And I'll start at the bottom because we'll come back and fill that in. And we're basically just going to, I'm drafting this out as I'm wrapping. Because you don't need a lot, just enough to cover that core wool. Make sure it's thick enough to cover. You don't want your core wool showing through. If you angle it just a little bit. You also want to be wrapping in the same direction that you were wrapping before when you wrapped your core wool on. Otherwise you get like, this is going the wrong way, and it actually loosens up your wrap from the bottom. Some of you may experience, I should have talked about that last time and I didn't. I'm working on some fun winter felts for you guys. Christmas felts coming up. I got one I'm pretty excited about. Aside from this one, I love making these. I can make these all day long. Kind of like pumpkins. I love making pumpkins. These guys are just fun. So I've come to the end, so I'm going to secure it. Color I'm using on this guy's called Whirlpool. It's like a deep burgundy with some black mixed in it. I want to wrap this nice and smooth. Big shout out to all you guys who made the gnomes and are sharing our design, our YouTube channel. It's really awesome. Okay, so now I'm up in here, going around now. Like, we want a smooth line, right? So we're going to follow the line where the face is going to be, fold this over. That gives us a nice, smooth delineation between the two colors. Follow your face line, flip it over. Doesn't have to be perfect because the hair is going to cover it, but you know, the devil's in the details. I like to take my time on certain parts because if it does show, so remember, when you're working the top of this, you can move that over, and we're going to move it over a lot when we work on the face. So depending on how big your ring is, you know, you can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. Will determine how much fiber you use. I find that I can usually get away with 1/4 ounce per Santa on the color because I don't cover under where the face is. If you do decide to do where the face is, it will probably take a little bit more. Let's see, I have a little bit of white poking through there, so I'm just going to add. I'll come back and smooth that up. Just keep going all the way around this face area. Smooth it out. You can see the two areas are going to come together, and then you'll have very little to add back here. So for instance, right here, this flips over to here, and it joins with this piece from the other side. And that should cover the back of your guy. Where he's wider, you might have to add a little bit more. You can use a pen tool if you're more comfortable with that. I like to use the pen tool at the and to smooth him out. Other thing you want to notice is that I'm always adding this the same way on this color because it has those black stripes. See the stripes? And I kind of want them to look like they're wrapping around. I've done these in pure sparkle white. They're pretty fun. Pure sparkle white with the pure sparkle white brim. White Santas are always cool. There's a fly in my house and the dog seems to be taking care of it. You know, it's fall here. It got nice and cold last week and soup weather, and now it's going to be 100 degrees again today. It's kind of crazy. In October. Have Oregon Flock and Fiber next weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend, and that's in Albany. So if you're in Oregon, in the Portland area, come see me at the Lynn County Fairgrounds. I'll be in the barn with a couple sheep and some stuff. Some of my fiber stuff. And then there's whole bunches of other people that are there, not just me. All right, so I'm going to sit and smooth this out, and this is going to take me a few minutes. I'm going to use the multi-needle tool. This one has 7 needles, and it'll just smooth his body out nice and smooth. So I'll be back in a couple minutes when I'm done with this, because I'm not going to make you watch this. All right, so I've been stabbing on this for about 10 minutes. And I worked a little bit to get him nice and smooth to make sure that I have a nice decreasing angle here, even. I think it's important to have this angle here nice and even into that decrease. So to work on the face, we're gonna move, you're gonna hold them down, and you're gonna move that over. And you may see some spots when you do that where you didn't overlap very well. So that's one good thing. But we're moving it over. So, oh, I need a skewer. Could you pass me a skewer, please? Okay. That one's too fat. I need a little skewer. All right, we're going to build his nose, just like the gnome nose. We're going to take a little bit of our flesh color. And we are going to make that cone. This nose is not as pronounced as the gnome nose. I mean, you can make it that way. Remember, wrap that cone about as much as you need. So this is going to be his nose. We're going to talk about faces for just a minute here. Dimensions. You know, my faces come out very whimsical because that's the kind of felter I am. No matter how hard I try to be realistic, I get whimsical. So here I am. I'm felting the bottom because I don't want it to come out when I pull the skewer out. Okay, so that's all we need. So when you think about a face, you have your forehead. You're going to think about it in thirds. This is kind of how I think about it. The nose goes in the middle, and we're just going to tack it on. Like I said, this guy's kind of whimsically inclined, and he looks kind of creepy before we get his beard on. So unlike the gnome, we're not going to add the sides to his nose. We don't need to. It's just one single nose because we're going to give him cheeks. He's going to get cheeks. So that's going to be next. I just can take a 2 even pieces of the flesh color and roll them up. Make a little pillow. And I like to place it right here next to his nose, like so half below his nose. Maybe I should have started this whole thing with, this is a little bit harder than the gnome. You can do a Santa without a face, but I really think they need a face. Put the second piece on. I do sell this in a kit. I forgot about that. So I have a kit available on the website, and each kit makes 3 of this burgundy color. And it has all the things you need. It has the wire, the locks. So if you don't want to round up your own supplies, they're there. So once we have this and this, now I want to kind of say, oh, his mouth is going to be right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another little pillow, but this time just like a rectangle. It's going to fall right here. We're just going to tuck this on. It's an upper lip. I'm not felting it in super hard. I want it to stay soft. And then I'm going to take a piece, a thin piece, just like on the nose. We're going to use this kind of like glue to smooth out all of this. Another piece over here. Don't be afraid to bend that other piece out of the way. Here's your nose. So we're building like the middle of his face first. Put the semblance of some nostrils in there, just no one's going to see those very much, but you can, and you can add a little red if you want. Just let that go up there. So now we're going to make one more little pillow here. Another pillow. This is going to be his chin. Let's just poke it on down here. So you actually will have a mouth. Stick your finger in there and you can maintain it. Now we will put some, see, look, he looks like a jester right now. Probably could make this into a jester with the 3-color hat. Remember, all this will disappear when we put his beard on. So now we're back up here, working around. I'm just firming up his cheeks. The flesh color I'm working with here is some kind of merino blend, so it shows holes if I over poke it. So I'm leaving it kind of soft. So now I'm going to take, I'm just using the white glitter that I have here because most of that, and I'm going to take 2 little pieces. I'm going to take my stick and I'm going to make a seed. So fatter in the middle. Oops, get in there. Fatter in the middle, thinner on the ends. I'm going to spin it in my fingers to kind of felt it a little bit. So there I have like this little seed. You can make both of them at once, and I'm going to put that right here. I'm kind of arching it as I put it on. That might not be big enough, so I'm going to add some more. Let me add another one. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have skewers. I'm just going to add another one over the top. I'll give you some measurements here in a minute. But we need to smooth out that little seam. I go all the way up to the nose. Like I said, my faces are not perfect, so let's make another bigger seed this time. We're going to poke that on. Nope, didn't like it. I'm going to add to it. So next thing we're going to do is add the color to the eyes. So get your color out. We're going to use this funky little blue. You just need a little bit. I'm going to make a little ball. And it ends up being right here. You want to make a nice little circle. That's not enough fibers. This guy's got turquoise eyes. It's kind of cool. Now, to make pupils, you can do two things. And since I like mine super perfect, I usually use a Sharpie. And I just dab until I get exactly the right pupil in there. But if you're a purist, you can use a little bit of black fibers rolled into a ball. And that's how we'll do it today. Just put the pupil right smack in the middle. I just like doing the Sharpie because there's no little extra fibers to make sure you have them all in there, and I don't like getting fibers in the white. See, he really looks like a jester now, doesn't he? It's pretty funny. This eye might, I mean, look at, so doesn't he look funny right now? It does not look like a Santa. I promise you he will. Then we need a little bit of black. Take your time on the faces. Faces are hard. And I'm sure there's other videos out there on YouTube to show you how to needle felt faces. This is just how I do it for my whimsical guys. Sometimes I end up doing, if I'm doing a standalone face where you're going to see the whole face, it takes me a long time. So I've been known to cut them off and start over. Especially if my husband's in the background going, nope, that doesn't look good. All right. Cannon just opened a chocolate and the dog's like, yes! So you can put a little red here in his mouth. My red is over there. Hey, throw me that red. Please. Please throw me that red. All right, we're going to put some red in there. Just tuck a little bit of red in here. And you know me, I like to make everything smile. Because life's too short not to smile. All right, so we got that in there. So this is very soft. It is not felted hard. If you want to felt it hard and be more accurate, have at it. But you're like, okay, let's fix this guy's face. He needs eyelids. Take a little piece. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go all the way across. I'm making 2 little eyelids here. I poked down the middle and I folded it, and then I'm going to flip it. A lot of times I will just roll it up and I won't make that line, because I feel like if we flip it one more time and put it on, okay, how you put your eyelid on determines whether your Santa is happy or sad. He could be mean, so you want closest to the nose up the highest. Let's put the other one on. You want them even with each other. So a lot of times if you put that end on and that end on and then just poke up inside till they match. Remember, a lot of this is going to disappear. So he's looking pretty happy, but let's add one more little thing. Take your skewer and just wrap some fiber around it. You can add this right here. You don't have to. I think in my kit I don't do this, just for the bottom eyelid, but this has to be felted way in so it's super skinny. So you can add that little eyelid in there just for a little bit of detail if you want. To me, I like it both ways. I feel like this way is cleaner. But I just wanted to show you can give him that extra eyelid. Now, since I give him one, I got to give him 2. So I'll show you again. Make it super skinny. But again, you're not going to see all this. So see all this extra up here? We're going to tuck that in. Just felt it on. You can take, if you're feeling like you have too much seams up here, you can just take a little piece, put it in there. Now, I also like his nose to become one. be a little skinnier right here. So this is where your little finishing. You work this face just a little bit until you kind of get it into what you like. I definitely don't like mean looking Santas. All right, so now we have this funny looking guy that doesn't look anything like a Santa. Let's make him look like a Santa. Take some of your locks. And the first thing we're going to do is go around his head. So we have these cut ends up here. I'm going to, remember the hat brim will be up here. So we're going to, I just go around his face. Remember I said you're not going to see any of that? You don't. And when I put locks on, I work them up a little bit so that they floof out. So you get a little bit of fluff. And it's okay to go here because remember, he has to have eyebrows. I'm just going to add this up here. Move that out of the way. Now, just like in the gnome, we put the beard on. You're pulling your locks from the cut end, or from the tip, not the cut end, to keep them as curly as possible. I'm going to start down here, right where I ended along there. I'm going to add some locks here. I'm not going to flip them down yet. I'm going all the way along his chin. So now that we're starting to get into Christmas and winter, what is your favorite Christmas tradition in your house? Or holiday tradition? Favorite Christmas tradition? Ours is, my favorite tradition is that the kids get new pajamas for Christmas Eve every year, even when they're adults. That way, when we take pictures in the morning, everybody looks good. No ratty pajamas. No ratty pajamas at all. That way they have something to open on Christmas Eve and ease the excitement. So I'm going all the way around his mouth. I have not flipped those down yet. I'm felting these cut ends in. You can see I'm going all the way around his mouth. This guy doesn't take as many locks as the gnome unless you make his beard super, super fluffy. And as you're picking locks, if you see ones that make a good beard, make sure to keep those out. Or, I mean, a good mustache, not a beard. We're doing the beard. All right, so we put those all on. Now we're going to flip them down. You can leave them loose and straggly like this. I like somewhat more control. I come back and I'm going to go right along the edge of his mouth. Try and keep them out of his mouth. This is a little bit different technique because he does have a mouth, a full-on mouth. So we have this little beard going on. Now let's find some. Let's find the perfect mustache in here that has the most curls. Pull that apart. I got a new fleece in the mail from my friend Floya. Some Teeswater. It's a breed of sheep I don't have because I'm too muddy to own that breed of sheep because we are flood irrigated. So to put remember to put his mustache on, I used the cut end there, and I'm going to flip, just like the beard, I'm going to flip that over. So you want to make sure you get it in the center, which I wasn't quite there, almost. Then felt this in. So she sent me a couple pounds of this beautiful white curly stuff. I need to wash it and get it out there for you. And hopefully I won't hoard it all for myself. So I'm working these curls back in so it looks like a mustache. And then we need to do the other side. See, just as fast as the gnome. Well, not quite as fast. Not quite as fast. Don't be afraid to pull your locks apart. Since you guys were all making Santas out of that gnome, I figured I'd show you how I do it so you have how he has a real face. I actually started making the Santa way before I started doing gnomes. You have to hold him and kind of look at him to shape this mustache into the beard. This is where I start to tack it in. So the cool thing about felting ornaments for your Christmas tree like this. Yeah, you can hang them on there, but wool ornaments, if you just throw them at your Christmas tree, they stick. So you want to be kind of mindful of that because they can pull the wool out of your ornaments if they're stuck to your tree. And then when you're storing, if you're selling these, or even if you're making them for you or giving them as gifts, when you store wool Christmas ornaments, you want to store them with a bit of lavender and maybe in a closed container. So if you have any wayward wool moths, they don't get to your ornaments. Even though wool moths prefer raw fleece or dirty fleece, dirty wool to clean wool, it's still a concern. All right, so where did his mouth go? It is there, but you got to work your fleece down so you can see it. Work his smile up in his mustache. Okay. So he's got his beard, he's got his eyebrows, kind of. So what we're gonna do next is add his brim. You're just gonna take the white of your choice. This happens to be sparkly. Wrap it around his head wherever you would like. I secure it from the bottom and from the top, just like on a gnome. Well, the gnome is different. He doesn't have this brim. He's got a different brim on his hat. So you want to make sure it's flat, which I didn't do. All right, so I'm moving this down. I'm going to have to add more because it's not as fluffy as I would like. But I want it flat. And look, there's a piece I did not felt very good. So I'm going to have to add more because it's not fluffy. And I want to make sure that I'm going around flat. I'm stacking this until I get the nice spot that I want. Now it's going to be fluffy enough. And then I kind of tuck it in back here underneath with my fingers, and then tuck it with my needle. And then I want this to be, still might not have enough right here. I definitely have enough in the front, because I want it to look nice and fluffy. Okay, I'm gonna add one more piece. Just around the back. And I'm going to tuck it in at the bottom on the front. Switch to the pen tool because I have 2 needles in here, and that will just, if I work it around, it will be smoother. Again, I like to make sure this is felted, even though it looks like it's not felted because it's fluffy. But I want to make sure that top layer is somewhat felted, because if it gets caught on your Christmas tree or on someone's Christmas tree, it's going to pull off. And you don't want that to happen easily. You know, and you also want to put these out of reach of your cats. I'm lucky that Stewie only steals wool balls. He does not steal my ornaments unless he is really mad at me. So there, he's got a brim on his hat. So now we're going to add the ball. We really want to make this look like a ball. You don't want it to look square. So you need to wrap it fat in the middle, go straight across from his nose. I guess you don't have to. You could go wherever you really want to. I like to go straight across from his nose. And I want it to be fat. That's not, in order to make it look like a ball, you've got to put a considerable amount of wool on here. Just keep going around, and you can kind of see it happening. I just keep pulling it out, keeping it nice and straight. Tack it in, and now to get it to look like a ball, you've got to felt from the bottom towards the center. This takes a few minutes. You've got to work those edges to make it look round. The trick, remember, roll it. You can roll that wire. Try not to work too much red up in there or you'll see it come through. And then same thing from the top down. Notice I wrapped it tight enough that I don't have to felt too much in the middle. But if you don't graduate this out so that the center here is the widest part, it won't look like a ball. It's kind of like we did the pumpkins. Only this is a ball of glitter white. Kenan, are you allergic to my cat? All right. It's still looking a little square for me, but I'm going to keep working this. But we're about done. You can add a bell hanging down if you want. Sometimes I put a bell on the hanger when I put the hanger through, just like we did on the gnome. I'm going to use a piece of twine. You want to return him to around. Look at a little piece of white coral wool poking out there. I don't like that. Picky I am. Okay. Return him to round. I'm going to take him in the other room and I'm going to put some blush on his cheeks, or maybe I'll come back and do it so that he has his rosy red cheeks. You can do it with wool. I don't like it done with wool. I like it with the blush. Securing his beard. Again, you can leave this all fluffy if you want, or you can shape it like I did. All right, so let me go get his hanger on and I'll put some blush on his little cheeks. Okay, so I'm just putting a little blush on his cheeks. I put a little on his lips. I also like to do his eyelids. You know, like I said, you can do your shading with fiber, but I just like it with the blush. Okay, so then I threaded some twine onto this needle. I like to find where I like him to sit. So right about there, I'm going to take this. Oh, normally I use my pliers, but I'm just going to twist this fat twine through there. And then we have this. You can add a bell here if you want, which is always kind of fun. I like to use rusty bells. Then just tie a little knot, and he's ready to go for your Christmas tree or a gift. These make great gifts. So, like I said, I do have a kit available to make this guy. This kit is on the website, liongate.org, in the farm store, and it's $35, and it makes 3 of them, and it has all the colors. It's got the wire, it's got the twine, it's got needles. It's got needles, it's got a little bit of blue, it's got all the colors you need to make your Santa. It does not have the blush. You have to get that out of your own bathroom. Thanks for joining me today as we felted the Santa Moon, which is also available in a kit. And if you are watching this, make sure you click like and then follow us, because it really helps us out. And if you need supplies, they're on the website, liongate.org, in the farm store. You can buy the whirlpool color. Look, you can even make a navy one. This is way cool. But come back again next week. We'll have something more fun.